Alright everybody, welcome to a quick mini lesson on graphing equations and inequalities. So I'm going to quickly go through graphing equations here. I've got two of them. We have y equals 2x minus 3 and x equals 6. Quick recap, I know you should all know this by now. This is the y-axis, that's the x-axis. And when you have an equation written like y equals 2x minus 3, the number in front of the x is your slope, which again is change in y over change in x. And this number by itself, including the sign in front of it, is your y-intercept. So if I want to graph y equals 2x minus 3, I want to start at negative 3 on the y-axis. And then I want to follow a slope of 2 over 1, because technically you want to make the slope a fraction. So up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And then I would just connect these dots here. And that would get me the line, and this isn't going to be the straightest thing in the world, I apologize. Ta-da! That would be the line y equals 2x minus 3, but I wouldn't get full credit for it because I haven't labeled it. You always have to label lines when you're writing them on a graph, so please don't forget that. So here's the line y equals 2x minus 3. I know it's squiggly, just deal with it. All right, so there's my nice line. Y equals 2x minus 3, no big deal. Now the x equals 6, though, is a little weirder. This isn't a y equals. And if it's not a y equals, you either want to turn it into a y equals, which we can't because there's no y, or just figure out what it means. So x equals 6 means find all the points where x is 6. Well, here's the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one point where x equals 6. Here's another point where x is 6. Another point, another point, another point, another point, another point, another point. These are all points where x equals 6. So let's see, I've got a nice lines thing here. We can even do it in green. So this line right here would be the line x equals 6. Now obviously I wouldn't want it to be dotted, but I wanted it to at least be the right color. That would be the line x equals, nope, that's not what I wanted. That would be the line x equals 6. Okay? So graphing lines, no big deal. Now over here, these aren't equations, they're inequalities because they got this happy little alligator, okay? So what you do first, if you're going to graph an inequality, is you pretend for a second that it says equals. And you say, all right, I want to graph the line y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. So if I find my blue pen here, I want to start at positive 2 on the y-axis. And I want to have a slope of negative 1/2. That means down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2, or left 2, up 1. Same idea. Now when I connect the dots this time, I need to look at the alligator. If the alligator has an underline, I draw a line. If there's no line here, there's no line there, and it's dotted. So this, I'm going to graph as a dotted line. And this dotted line represents y is less than negative 1/2 x plus 2. Now, when you graph inequalities, something you might remember is that you have to do a little bit of shading when you do inequalities. Come here, eraser. There we go. So I got to do a little bit of shading here. Now, how do I figure out how to shade? Well, I'm going to be really simplistic here and say you got to deal with the alligator. So if I deal with my little alligator here, you decide if the alligator is eating the y. So is this alligator nom 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 nom? Is my alligator trying to eat the y? No, it's not. Alligators are hungry. They want to eat big things. So if the alligator isn't eating the y, then the y isn't big, and that means you shade below the line because all the small y values are on the bottom. So here's the line. Below the line would be all this stuff down here. Okay? Another way to do this that you may have seen in the past is to do a test point. So if I did something and I said, well, let's do a test point. Let's try the point 0, 0. Is 0 less than negative 1/2 0 plus 2? So is 0 less than 2? Yes, it is. So I shade the region that includes the point 0, 0. That's another way to do it. All right, so one more inequality here. Y is greater than or equal to x. Well, even though it doesn't look like it, this is technically y equals mx plus b form, where you can think about this as 1x plus 0. So my slope is 1 and my y-intercept is 0. This is the same as that. So I have to start at the origin, and I have to go up 1 over 1. So I'm going to draw this, and then this does have an underline, so I am going to draw a straight, solid line through all of that stuff. And this is the line y equals x, all right? Now, shading. The y is being eaten by the alligator, which means the y is big. Big y's go up, so I'm going to shade all the stuff above the orange line. That's all above the orange line. Then, if this is a system of inequalities, we're often looking for the double shaded region. So if it said something like indicate the solution set or clearly indicate the solution region, what you do is you'd come in here and you'd put a big S right in here that stands for solutions to both equations are in this area here. All right, so quick other recap here. Long story short is if I come back to my original screen here, long story short, if I have something that has a positive slope, that means it goes up and to the right. It looks something like this. It can be anywhere on the page, but it goes up and to the right. If I wanted instead a negative slope, I need to go down as I go to the right. So positive slope, left to right goes up. Negative slope goes down, left to right. If I wanted to do a y equals a number kind of thing, like y equals 6 or y equals -1, y equals start on the y-axis and go straight across. So y equals are horizontal lines, whereas x equals lines, something like x equals 4 or x equals -1, are vertical lines. Okay, pretend that's vertical. So y equals are horizontal, and x equals are vertical. All right, and then one more thing here. If we talk about inequalities, if I have an inequality where the y is being eaten, nom nom nom, it's eating the y, I would take my line wherever it is and shade above it. However, if its y is less than something, I don't know, 3x minus 4, if its y is less than something, if I draw something like this, that's not 3x minus 4, let me shift it down, something like that, and y is less than that, that means I shade below the line, so the stuff below this line would be there. Okie doke. One more thing, this technically isn't a less than because a less than should be dotted because this does not have an underline. So I would actually want to come back in here and make that a dotted line. So anytime there's no line here, there's no line there, it's dots. Anytime there is a line here, there is a line there. It has to be solid. This was a very quick recap into writing equations and drawing lines, and I hope you had a wonderful time with it. I will end with a joke because I love ending with jokes. What color socks does a bear wear? He doesn't wear any socks. He has bare feet. Bye.